This is MJL for 11/16/77.
An oval-shaped table with some people sitting around. I'm sitting in one of the chairs.
Very good. Can you identify the people?
And
if I can call him back tonight if he has a place where I can reach him.
but I keep throwing that out unless we can exist at other planes at the same time. But as I say that, I know we can. More than one place at a time.
Fine. Now why don't you approach that particular one and greet him? Express greetings and warmth.
Just says, well, let's sit down here and guess we wait for something. I don't know what. There seem to be more people arriving. They're coming in some kind of planes. They're not really planes. There's something that fly. Not getting out. They seem to be up high somewhere. Almost like on a floating pad or something like that.
Ask your friend some questions about it and see what his response is.
I ask him what we're doing here, and he says we have to make some decisions. Decisions about who will assume what responsibility. Seems to know what it's about, and I don't seem to know. He says to be patient. This fades away, and we seem to be looking. We're still there, but it's like all of us are looking at a picture together. And it's a picture of two large mountains with a pass in between. And there are lots of people walking up through the pass. They seem to be quite alert and alive. It's a long walk, but they don't seem to be tired particularly. Some are carrying packs on their backs. And they come up to a plateau. And they're like they're going to make their home there.
Very good. Ask your friend, who are these people?
It's a promised land.
Where Where is the promised land?
It's in more than one place. It's like this is symbolic. There are other places we're looking around now, like I'm back at the table and we're looking at other parts of the world, and there are parts that are bubbling up, bubbling water, thick water in little whirlpools, like maybe quicksand or maybe lava, I don't know. And there are lots of people lost in them. And then there are these plateaus.
Very good, you're doing fine.
Do with me what I'm to do.
She asked what she had to do with this.
For now, I'm just supposed to find out more about it. And I will know when I'm to do anything specific. There's a whole other scene. Well, some part of me, the scene at the table still stays there, but then it sort of fades in the background. And there's a scene of people dancing and singing, and people are playing music. It's like it might be a wedding scene of some kind. And I don't know why that came, but it's just a happy occasion of some sort. And I see grapevines, beautiful grapevines loaded with kind of sort of pink colored grapes. They're sort of between green and red. Don't know what kind they are. And the people are very happy. The music is gay. We're all dancing in a circle. Some people are sitting down and watching. Seems to be out of doors. The meaning seems to be that it's important, the light part of life is important, happiness, gaiety, joy.
Is any of this familiar to you?
Well, I seem to be very comfortable in it, but I don't really recognize it. Not the part of me that's lying here in this bed.
All right. All right.
But I seem to be very much at home in the place. I'm split in several different ways now. There's a part of me here, there's a part of me in the scene dancing, there's a part of me still back with this group at the table.
Then focus your attention on the group at the table and ask what are the nature of the questions that pose some decision needs. survival. How imminent is that question raised? Is that soon, now, later, when?
Right now. It has to begin right now.
Here we go.
But don't be concerned about people who will not listen. Everyone is not my work.
She's going.
Everyone will not survive.
What is your work?
Teacher, messenger, channel,
As a messenger, do you have a message for us now?
walk with God. Know God. Walk with God always. In the moment. This doesn't mean being religious. This doesn't mean rules and structure. This means being fully aware of God within. In every thought, every action, every feeling, some of us need to be the workers, and some of us need only to love and be compassionate. Some of us need to pray. All of us need to pray. Now there's another person, a tall, another person's come in, kind of zoomed in, sort of like flying in. It's a person wearing long robes, white robes. It's a male person.
Greet him warmly.
He turns out to be a former guide of mine by the name of Hans. I never saw him dressed this way before, but that's who he is.
Good, then he is quite familiar to you.
Mm-hmm.
ask if he has any special message for you or for us.
Sort of seems like he's hedging, but what he says is everything's going according to plan.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Ask if there's anything we can do for him. Be open.
He says he is there to guide me and others, but let's see. He will not interfere unless there's imminent danger. He says he has interfered with me many times when I have been in danger, and he has rescued me. But outside of those situations, he will not intrude himself, his message, whatever he must be asked. Like I must ask a question and he will answer.
Very good. Then ask him, is there any imminent danger to you and others in what we call our near future of time?
He says there's always imminent danger. And I ask him to try to be more specific. I don't really want to hear this, but he says, and what comes through is, in 2 years it will all be over. And I say, what over? Well, it says, you don't have very much time to prepare. And I say, well, what does that mean? And he says, you already know. Don't ask me questions you already know. And
do you already know?
What seems coming from inside of me more than from him is the timing could change before major earth changes take place. It could change depending on the levels of consciousness. And he said yes, but it's gone too far to make a real change. I mean, it's gone too far to save people from catastrophes. But when I say that, then I know it's not really a catastrophe. It's the word that came, but people will die and apparently negative things will happen. And we all know all that. And the real message seems to be to just put one foot in front of the other and move through moment by moment, following the path. And it seems to be the right path for me to settle in this area. It feels safe. But there's still a possibility that Well, it's like there's two paths. There's one path in which I'm supposed to help prepare and to lead people. And I've done that before. It's like an old path that's well worn. There's the other path that there's a possibility that I'll be finished sooner myself. And that feels okay. It's sort of like that's the kind of a way out that I want, only that really doesn't have much weight. That has a very small weight. The other one has a bigger weight. And he tells me that what I've been doing within the inner part of myself, working on surrender, is the right path for me. To be open to whatever comes and give up the control.
What do you want to ask? Very good. Mm-hmm. In terms of this all be over in 2 years, when will the actual beginning of this event that will be over in 2 years, when does it begin?
What he means, I guess, by that I'm asking, it doesn't sound, see, when you ask the question, I know that's what the words were before, but that's not really what he meant. He meant the suspense part will be over in 2 years. In terms of, by the end of 2 years, it will be very, very clear what's happening. Not that everything will have happened. Do you know what I mean? That if it's terms, I don't know what it's going to be, but if whatever the big change, some of which looks negative, we don't know what it's going to be really, but within 2 years we will know. If it turns out that it's major earthquakes, we'll know they're happening and that life is going to be all different. And if it turns out that they're plagues, we know that's going to happen. It seems like there's going to be both, actually. But it doesn't mean that a whole new life is going to have been started in that 2 years. That it means that it will be into it. And it's already begun. That's why there can't be a date. It's already happening. Different parts of the world. Changes are taking place. It's just that we can't see them.
When will major physical changes take place within the United States?
By 1979.
79. Mm-hmm.
But they won't be finished then.
Where will they begin specifically in the United States?
Florida.
In Florida. Mm-hmm. And then what would be the next place?
It's very hard for me to hear because there's so much other stuff. I mean, to clear, but it feels like he's saying, it seems like I see the United States and it's rocking back and forth and something's happening simultaneously on the East and the West Coast.
Yes. Then move in and simply ask your own questions now and then report your questions and answers.
Okay.
Because you can decide what are important questions and important answers.
King, is there any way to relieve the suffering that's going to be coming in? He just kind of puts his head down and he shakes his head. Says it's all been written. Seem to be going back to ancient Greece. To the times that were written up as myths. The times when the gods met on Mount Olympus. And there is so much jealousy and anger and they set in motion vibrations that caused the ruin of the country.
Who are the gods on Mount Olympus?
Zeus, Apollo,
what were their origin?
They seem to be come from the clouds. It doesn't make any sense, but it's what I see, clouds turning into these huge gods. I ask why this is coming in and now and what's the connection, and it seems that it's an embodiment of powerful, aggressive emotions. What set it all in, what set the world off into disaster has to do with individual people's emotions, hate and greed and lust, jealousy, anger. All I can do about it is eradicate them from myself. Seem to be coming back to the happy scene again, where the people were dancing and the sun was shining. And that's again telling me that life is joyful. Life was meant to be joyful. We were all meant to love one another, not to hate and fight and kill. And somehow we got on the wrong track.
ask your guide then, how did we get on this wrong track?
One way is being involved with lust instead of love. But that's a cause of much of the evil. A lack of purity. Wanting, selfishly wanting other people, wanting material things. He says, we've been given all the answers over and over again. Why ask again? It's all written down in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bible, the Quran, even in the Book of Changes in the I Ching.
Then ask the question in this upcoming event and changes, is there any external persons, beings that will come to our planet Earth?
He says there are beings existing on all different levels right now. And it isn't a question of them coming to our planet Earth. It's a question of us raising our vibrational level so we can communicate.
What is the simplest way that we can do this, raising our vibrational level?
Says there are many ways. What's simple for one person isn't for another, so he says this way we're using right here now is one way. There's some people that use deep meditation, that's another way. There are people who use different kinds of yoga. There are many, many paths. And it's important that we do not give the message that there is only one path. But that we teach the path we know to those who will resonate with it.
Very good. Mm-hmm.
There's something about not building, when we do any building, not building tall buildings. I don't explain that. I don't know what that means.
Ask if there are energies available to us in this physical matter reality that we can utilize to replace the energies we commonly use now.
He says he prefers to talk about vibration, and that he again talks about vibrational level, and that we don't have to replace energy that we now use. If he's not sure about the question, he says if we're talking about internal things, but then he begins to think maybe the question is talking about material kinds of energies. But in terms of internal energy that we work with, the energy flow through the human body is there and fully developed. And simply needs to be kept open. But it can develop to a higher level. In terms of material energies, he says the sun is the source of energy. And there will be many ways of using this. Also, there may be some type of energy that we do not know now that comes from the earth. It's some kind of heat from the earth. I'm asking for more specific, but he says in time, that will come in time. It has something to do with minerals in the earth. And he does think he uses the word, it isn't appropriate for me to have that information right now. Perhaps it's because I wouldn't know what to do with it. Yeah.
When we speak of energies, we speak of the need to keep the physical matter energy of the human body, keep it fed and warm, and different kinds of energies that we might use to do this, to feed the physical body and to keep it warm.
Well, he says that we have all of this available inside of the human body. We have the sun and outside, and we have water, and we have air, and we don't everything else. The body can convert these into what it needs. The mind is so powerful. The body doesn't really require what we have come to believe it requires. In some situations, the body doesn't even need food, and that it can be kept warm by changing mentally changing the body temperature. That we'll learn these things as we go along. We don't need to concern ourselves with doing something about it beyond what we already know.
How soon, in terms, if we learn this, is this a matter of a year, 1,000 years, or one lifetime, or what?
Next century. Probably past yours and my lifetime. That's not really clear. It seems that some people have always known these things. And what will happen is that more and more of us, perhaps we have already known in the past what we're looking for now. It seems that those matters about which one is most concerned are matters that are somehow connected to old memories or experience. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what seems to be coming. So that there's nothing new. So when we're asking questions about how to utilize energy, it's just a matter of either remembering or letting the pieces fall into place. The information's already there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Then ask the question, When were you last in planet Earth prior to this particular life existence?
He shows me a scene, a tropical scene. In maybe 1920, something like that, in a little Polynesian or little black baby of some kind who was born and died. But the baby was sunshiny and beautiful, and it was like the beauty was too much. It was too perfect. And almost like that soul felt it would be too easy and needed more hardships, more tasks.
And then before that, where were you?
I'm being shown a period in France, in Paris. It's an artist's model.
And what was your life like at that time?
Well, as a young woman, it was gay. I was very beautiful and had many lovers, mostly artists, and was a model. I was pregnant and had a handicapped son and left him, and I got old very quickly. There were hardships and cold, and
What was your name at that time?
Marie, or Maria, I think.
And your surname?
Duval.
And what was the year? What was the year that you died?
1910.
In Paris. Mm-hmm. Very good. And then before that, were you in planet Earth before then?
Well, I was in Russia, and I don't know if it was just before that.
What of your
It
existence?
must have been sometime around the revolution, because I froze to death, and so did my baby. And there were people who had... We froze to death while I was looking through a window. People all dressed in satin and parties, and I was in the snow outside.
Very good. Then let's move and ask the important question, too. Have you ever had existence elsewhere other than planet Earth?
Yes.
And where would... But it was a space rather than time. Fine. And what have you done in between your physical life experiences here on Earth?
It's been kind of a once at least a kind of attending class, like a reporting in, like well, like coming back and saying this is what was done, and then I'm being shown another scene that's more like a planning scene, different from the one earlier. This one is I have the feeling that I might not have really had to come back this time, but there were things that had to be done, and I volunteered to do them.
And what were the things that you volunteered to do?
The only message I get has to do with, again, my own personal path. And it's like the memory of whatever else it was isn't there. My personal path is bringing together an open heart and a surrender to God, bringing them together simultaneously. But also there's something about being here as a channel, being here when the new life begins, when being to lead some of the people up that mountain. That feels very heavy.
What is meant by when the new life begins?
When all of the people who are left will be at a higher level of consciousness. When everyone will move up a level. It's like I see a lot of steps, something like that. And the bottom levels of the steps are cut off. It's like it almost feels like Earth itself will raise its level, like the entities we still have much more survival level work to do. We'll have to do it elsewhere. I don't know where. It's sort of like science fiction as I'm experiencing this.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Will these survivors, will they remain on the planet Earth?
Yes. And it will be the same physical planet, although there'll be many changes. But it will be different. There will be a different vibrational level.
In terms of our time, as we know time, within what time span will this change in vibrational level take place?
Year 2000.
By the year 2000, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Back in our discussion, there was a statement made that we are going to be helped. By whom would we be helped?
Well, it isn't so much as being helped by someone as it is being helped by the unification of the energy. As something develops when people of like energy come together. It's like a new, almost like an entity develops. Then we're more able to, as we raise our vibrational level, we're more able to communicate with discarnate entities at the same vibrational level. So it's not like one person taking another's hand and leading them or helping them. It's like moving into a different level of understanding. So that in effect we help ourselves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a different way of looking at things from the way we're conditioned.
Yes.
It's like for in specific situations we know, I'm being told, look in your own life, and that means it for you as well as for me. There are many openings. There are many doorways. They come often through other human beings. Being in the company of certain other humans puts us into a state of reality that we are not always in. And at that time, both or all, if there are a group, are doorways for each other. And this is on a spiritual, psychic plane I'm speaking. It's like the relating between human beings seems to take place on a physical, material level, but that's only a very small part of it. And we will be more and more aware of this aspect as time goes on. I'm being told to trust even more, trust the intuitive part of myself and know that when I receive telepathic messages, they are real. That's where the reality is. And know that I can give those messages and receive them, and that it's already underway.
Ask your guide how I can help you achieve these aims and needs that you have.
He says again, just move along as things are going. It's like there's no big jump or big change to move forward. He says we've been connected in the past, in early Egypt. We've been connected in something that has to do with healing. And that we will remember all of this as time goes by.
It would seem then there's a gathering of old buddies and old friends.
Mm-hmm. He stresses, he says he can't stress this too much, that it's very, very important who comes to the table. It's vitally important. And I say, but you sound judgmental. And he says, no, I don't mean that. I don't mean that everyone isn't basically equal in the eyes of the universe, but it's like there's planning to be done at some level, and it can be, I really sort of keep feeling, I feel this has even more to do with you than with me, that like the wrong mix of people or the wrong energies can mess things up. And he says, to look inward, you always know. The answers lie within.
Tell him thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. In the morning for you, Bob.
All right.
Be very careful of people who want something from you. And I ask, what does that mean? Of course people want something. They want to have a training and all that. He says, I don't mean that. He says, let me see if I can just be still for a minute. Of the selfish ones.
Be careful of the selfish ones, he said.
The usurers.
They're easily identifiable, yes.
He said you would know.
Thank him very much for that. And then in those who come to the table, we use, as you label it, intuition to determine those who should sit at the table.
Mm-hmm. individually. One needs to look inside of himself. He's saying again in regard to you, it's almost as if you don't entirely trust yourself to the extent that it would be wise to do. That you look for confirmation, which he says is all right, to look for confirmation, but to look first within, because all of the answers are within.
Yes. Is he aware of any upcoming persons that might be of importance to be with us?
Well, he's aware of one that shouldn't be. And I can't get anything. I'm trying to get something. It's a male. Has to do with money. I don't know what it has to do with, but I get the feeling I'm not really supposed to know. But it has to do with I guess maybe the message is I'm extrapolating a little bit, but it isn't clear. Could be like not to involve someone only for money. But that would be disastrous. That the right combination is available to you.
Very good. Mm-hmm.
In terms of the other question, about who should be brought in, he answers, as each person comes, it's like, do not pre-decide. Alright, now, I don't understand that quite. That's just the words. People will be sent to you in various ways. Be open to each and every one until your own instinct rejects that person. He says there's a part to your personality that isn't always helpful to you. And it's something like, well, it seems like you really you're very astute as far as people are concerned. There's a great deal of a very highly developed intellect, and it can be used in many ways, but one way has to do with people. But in regard to right now, be careful not to, the same word again, pre-decide. Perhaps you have some concept of the mix, the right mix, or the right roles to be filled in. He's saying that may not be accurate. Be open to whomever is sent. At least long enough to find out if this is right for you. Does that make any sense?
Yes, I understand.
All right.
From his perspective, what is our unit here? I, as not necessarily the leader, but the representative of such a group, what is our role in these coming changes?
He says just as you envision it. But it's, you know, that it's a matter of gathering people around for survival, and then when things quiet down, passing on information to whoever is open to it about your work, your methods that have been developed. And he says it's very, very important for you to ultimately surround yourself with people who can continue the work. That for a while your group needs to be semi-isolated, but then after that it doesn't. It needs to be, information needs to be disseminated. When a level of consciousness has been reached among people in general, and that may be beyond your lifetime, so it's very important that other people carry on with your plans.
Yes, I agree, and I'm aware of that need. It is nice to hear it from another source. Is there any final message that your guide has at this moment? And also thank him very much for this very, very significant discussion and meeting.
Very interested in the project. He says he really himself personally he's been interested in the past in improving health, I think he might have been a doctor. He was a doctor sometime, and he's also very interested in the land, and he feels he has a very positive feeling to be connected in any way with what's going on in your work, and he's around, he's available.
Well, that is indeed wonderful, and we're very not only excited but grateful that this meeting and discussion has taken place. And then tell him we think you should rest, and that can we meet again soon.
As he says that's fine, that he's available, and again he says he works best being asked questions, as he did today, and he's available. And I thanked him.
All right, very good. Then, as you've thanked him, and tell him that we will be with him again very, very soon. And then you move away and turn easily back into normal focus 12. And from there, move back to 10 and report when you reach focus 10. And MJL on 11/16/77.